The Galactic Council had never been more jubilant. Their victory over Earth had been swift and decisive. High above in their opulent headquarters, the Council's leaders gathered to celebrate their triumph. Their grand hall was filled with alien dignitaries, each of them beaming with pride. They had achieved what many thought impossible, subduing humanity. In the heart of the Galactic Empire, a massive broadcast screen flickered to life. The Council's leader, Chancellor Xor, stood before the galaxy, ready to deliver a speech that would be broadcasted to every corner of known space. His tone was one of smug satisfaction as he addressed the galaxy. "People of the Galactic Empire," Chancellor Xor began, his voice echoing with authority. "Today marks the end of an era. The once proud humans of Earth have been defeated. Their resistance has crumbled and their planet is now under our control." The broadcast was accompanied by images of Earth's cities in ruins, with galactic troops patrolling the streets. The scenes were designed to shock and awe. Xor's words were laced with derision as he continued. "For years, humans have boasted about their strength and resilience. They claimed they would never fall to our might. But look at them now, defeated and broken." The council members watched with satisfaction as the broadcast continued. It was not just about victory, it was about sending a message. The council wanted to make sure that no one dared to challenge their power again. They mocked humanity's claims of bravery and defiance, painting them as nothing more than empty words. In the galaxy's other systems, beings watched the broadcast with mixed reactions. Some found the scenes of Earth's downfall amusing, while others felt uneasy. The council's message was clear: defy us, and you will face the same fate as Earth. On Earth, the broadcast was watched in silence by the survivors. The mocking tone of the galactic leaders cut deep. People who had once been hopeful and defiant now felt a profound sense of despair. The galactic forces had imposed strict control over the planet, and resistance seemed almost impossible. Amid the despair, a small group of Earth's finest minds met in secret. They were a mix of scientists, engineers, and military strategists. They had seen the broadcast and were deeply angered by the Council's mockery. They knew that the only way to reclaim their dignity was to fight back. Dr. Ava Reyes, one of the leading scientists, addressed the group with a fierce determination. "We can't let them get away with this," she said. "They think we're finished, but they're wrong. We have resources and we have the will. We need to find a way to strike back and show them that humans are not to be underestimated." The room buzzed with agreement. The team knew they were up against a formidable foe, but they also knew that humanity's strength lay in its ability to adapt and fight back against impossible odds. While the Council reveled in their victory, they underestimated the power of human resilience. The mocking broadcast was intended to break spirits, but instead, it fueled a fire within Earth's survivors. They had been pushed to the edge, but now they were ready to rise and fight for their world. As the Council celebrated their apparent success, they remained oblivious to the brewing storm on Earth. The seeds of resistance had been sown, and the spark of rebellion was about to ignite. The Galactic Council's mockery would prove to be the catalyst for humanity's most daring stand against their oppressors. On Earth, the victory of the Galactic Council had left a deep scar. The once bustling cities now lay in ruins, and the sky was often filled with the dark silhouettes of alien patrol ships. The people were subdued, their spirits broken by the overwhelming force of their conquerors. But even in the darkest of times, hope flickered in unexpected places. Deep beneath the surface, in a hidden bunker that had remained undiscovered by the galactic forces, a small group of Earth's brightest minds worked tirelessly. This secret location was a high-tech facility filled with advanced equipment, a remnant of humanity's pre-war preparations. It was here that the resistance had gathered, planning their comeback. Dr. Ava Reyes, a leading scientist who had once worked on space exploration projects, now found herself at the center of a different kind of mission. Her face was etched with determination as she reviewed schematics and blueprints scattered across a large table. The recent Galactic Council broadcast had only strengthened her resolve. She knew they had to act quickly before it was too late. "We have to turn this around," Dr. Reyes said to her team. "The Council thinks they've crushed us, but they've underestimated our will. We've been working on something that could change everything." Her team consisted of engineers, soldiers, and a few remaining scientists, all united by a single purpose. Among them was Marcus Chen, a skilled engineer who had been instrumental in developing the new weapon. He looked up from his work with a determined expression. The weapon is ready for testing. It's based on technology that the galactic forces haven't seen before. If it works as we hope, it could punch through their defenses. The weapon was a sophisticated piece of technology designed to emit a powerful energy burst. It was capable of breaching the heavily fortified shields of the galactic ships. The Resistance had managed to keep its development a secret, even from the galactic forces that monitored Earth. In the control room, technicians worked to calibrate the weapon, making final adjustments to ensure it would function perfectly. The mood was tense but focused. Every person knew the gravity of their task. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting to restore their pride and freedom. As the weapons test approached, Dr. Reyes called the team together. "We've kept this hidden for a reason," she said. "We need to use it carefully and strategically. Our first strike needs to be precise. If we make a mistake, it could mean disaster." Marcus nodded in agreement. "The first target will be a galactic supply depot. It's well protected, but if we can breach their defenses, it will be a huge blow to their operations." The Resistance prepared for their mission with meticulous care. They gathered supplies, coordinated their plans, and made sure that every detail was accounted for. The goal was not only to attack, but to send a message that humanity was not beaten and would fight back with everything they had. Dr. Reyes took a moment to address her team one last time before the mission. "We may be small compared to the Galactic Empire, but our spirit is unbreakable. This is our chance to show them that they made a mistake underestimating us. We fight not just for our survival, but for our dignity." As the team set out for their first strike, a sense of anticipation filled the air. They moved under the cover of darkness, evading the watchful eyes of the galactic patrols. The mission was risky, but they were driven by the hope of turning the tide. The galactic forces had been so confident in their victory that they had not anticipated a counterattack from such a well-hidden and determined group. The Resistance's first strike was about to begin, and with it, the beginning of a new chapter in the struggle for Earth's freedom. In the depths of their hidden base, the team prepared to unleash their weapon and prove that humanity's spirit was far from broken. They were ready to fight back, and their resolve was stronger than ever. The secret bunker buzzed with activity as the Resistance prepared for their first major attack. The air was thick with anticipation and tension. The team, led by Dr. Ava Reyes, was readying themselves for a battle that would test their resolve and their new weapon. Dr. Reyes stood before a large holographic display which projected a detailed map of the target area. The map highlighted the location of the Galactic Council's supply depot, a critical hub that supplied their troops with resources and weaponry. Disrupting this depot would be a significant blow to the galactic forces. Marcus Chen, the lead engineer, was making final adjustments to the weapon. It was a sleek metallic device with glowing energy conduits running along its sides. "The calibration is complete," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the high stakes. "We've tested it, and it should be able to breach their defenses. But we need to be precise in our attack." The team, a mix of scientists, engineers, and soldiers, worked with focused efficiency. They packed the weapon into a transport pod designed for stealth and quick deployment. Every piece of equipment was checked and rechecked. The mission's success depended on their attention to detail. In another corner of the bunker, Lieutenant Sarah Adams, a seasoned military officer, reviewed the tactical plan. She went over every step of the operation, ensuring that each member of the team knew their role. "Timing will be crucial," she reminded them. "We need to hit the depot before their security systems can react. Once we're in position, there's no turning back." The team assembled in the briefing room where Dr. Reyes gave her final instructions. "This is our chance to show the Galactic Council that we are not defeated," she said, her voice firm but encouraging. "We've kept our plans hidden and prepared for this moment. Our target is critical to their operations. Disrupting it will not only weaken their forces, but also send a clear message that we are still in this fight." Everyone nodded, their faces set with determination. Each member of the team knew the risks involved, but also understood the importance of their mission. The galactic forces had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now it was time to prove them wrong. The transport pod, loaded with the weapon and essential equipment, was ready. The team loaded into it, the air inside the pod filled with a mix of nervous energy and quiet resolve. The pod's engines hummed softly as it began its journey towards the target. As the pod approached the supply depot, the team worked in silence. The Resistance members were equipped with advanced stealth technology to avoid detection. Their movements were precise and deliberate. They knew that any mistake could jeopardize the entire mission. The supply depot loomed ahead, a massive structure surrounded by high walls and heavily armed guards. The galactic forces were confident in their security, unaware of the threat that was about to strike. The resistance team deployed the pod's cloaking system, making it nearly invisible to the enemy's sensors. Dr. Reyes monitored the operation from the control panel. Her heart raced as they neared the target. "We're in position," she announced. "Prepare for deployment." The weapon was carefully extracted from the pod and set up in a hidden position. The team worked quickly to align it with the depot's defenses. Marcus made final adjustments, ensuring that the weapon was aimed accurately. The countdown began. The team held their breath as the weapon charged up. Every second felt like an eternity. Finally, with a deep hum, the weapon released its energy burst. A brilliant beam of light shot towards the depot, striking its shield with incredible force. The impact was immediate. The depot's defenses flickered and failed, unable to withstand the power of the weapon. Alarms blared as the galactic forces scrambled to respond. The resistance team watched with bated breath as the depot's structure began to collapse. Dr. Reyes and her team knew that their mission was far from over. They had made a powerful statement, but the battle was just beginning. The Galactic Council would surely retaliate, but for now they had succeeded in striking a significant blow. As they prepared to retreat, the team felt a renewed sense of hope. The resistance had proven that they could fight back against the Galactic Empire, and their message was clear: humanity was not to be underestimated. The team returned to their hidden bunker, their spirits lifted by their success. They had taken the first step towards reclaiming their world, and they were ready for whatever came next. The night was eerily quiet over the Galactic Council's military base, but within the hidden confines of the Resistance's command center, excitement crackled through the air. Dr. Ava Reyes and her team had just received news of a critical opportunity, an unexpected chance to launch a surprise attack on a key galactic stronghold. The success of their previous mission had given them a glimmer of hope, and now they were ready to strike again. Dr. Reyes, eyes bright with determination, gathered her team. "We have a chance to hit another major target. This is our moment to make them truly fear us. Our last attack proved that we can breach their defenses. Now we need to keep up the pressure." Marcus Chen, the lead engineer, nodded. "We've identified a vulnerable supply convoy heading to the galactic base. They'll be traveling through a less secured route. If we intercept them, we can inflict more damage and disrupt their operations even further." Lieutenant Sarah Adams, the military strategist, laid out the plan. "We'll set up an ambush along their route. We have intel on their schedule and the convoy's security details. Timing will be crucial. We need to hit them hard and fast before they can call for reinforcements." The team worked quickly, gathering equipment and preparing for the operation. They knew that this attack had to be executed flawlessly. Any slip-up could result in failure or worse, exposure of their hidden base. As night fell, the resistance team, equipped with stealth technology and advanced weaponry, moved into position. They traveled in silence, their stealth pods blending into the darkness. The convoy, a long line of heavily armored transport vehicles, was making its way along a narrow, winding road. The convoy's escort was confident, their communication channels quiet. Dr. Reyes and her team took up positions on the ridges overlooking the road. They waited, hearts pounding with anticipation. The plan was to strike when the convoy was in the middle of the ambush zone, where their options for escape were limited. As the convoy approached, Dr. Reyes signaled the team to prepare. Marcus Chen activated a series of electromagnetic pulses to disable the convoy's communication systems and disrupt their electronic defenses. The convoy's escort began to lose contact with their base, their confusion palpable. Lieutenant Adams gave the order. "Now!" The resistance team launched their attack. Precision strikes targeted the convoy's lead and rear vehicles, causing them to explode in fiery bursts. The galactic forces inside the convoy scrambled to respond, their defensive measures failing under the onslaught. Dr. Reyes and her team moved swiftly, using the cover of darkness to their advantage. They planted explosive charges on the remaining vehicles, ensuring that the convoy's cargo and resources would be destroyed. The galactic forces were caught off guard, their defenses crumbling as the resistance continued their relentless assault. The surprise attack created chaos and confusion among the galactic forces. They had been unprepared for such a coordinated and aggressive strike. The convoy was in disarray and the galactic troops were struggling to regroup. The resistance team worked efficiently, minimizing their exposure and avoiding direct confrontation with the remaining enemy forces. They had achieved their primary objective, severely disrupting the galactic supply chain and dealing another significant blow to their operations. As the last of the convoy's vehicles burned and the smoke cleared, Dr. Reyes and her team retreated to their extraction point. They moved quickly, knowing that the galactic forces would soon be on high alert and searching for them. Back at their hidden base, the team gathered to debrief. The atmosphere was electric with the thrill of their success. "We did it," Dr. Reyes said, a note of pride in her voice. "We've proven that we can hit them where it hurts and make them think twice before underestimating us." The resistance team had achieved a crucial victory, and their message was clear. Humanity was not only surviving, but actively fighting back. The Galactic Council's hold on Earth was becoming increasingly precarious, and the tide of battle was beginning to shift. As they prepared for the next phase of their campaign, the team knew that they had to remain vigilant. The galactic forces would not take their losses lightly, and the resistance would need to be ready for whatever came next. But for now, they celebrated their hard-earned success and prepared for the challenges ahead. The Galactic Council's headquarters was abuzz with panic. The recent attacks on their supply lines had struck a nerve, causing a ripple of fear and confusion across the Empire. The once comfortable leaders of the Galactic Council now found themselves grappling with the reality that Earth's resistance was far from defeated. Chancellor Exor paced in his grand office, his mood a stark contrast to the celebration that had once filled these halls. His face was taut with anger and concern as he reviewed the reports of the recent attacks. His aides scurried around him, trying to address the crisis. "Chancellor, the damage is extensive," one aide reported, her voice shaky. "The convoy losses are greater than anticipated. We're also receiving reports of further disruptions in several sectors." Zor's eyes narrowed. "These humans are proving to be more troublesome than we expected. We need to act swiftly to contain the situation before it spirals further out of control." In the war room, high-ranking officials of the Galactic Council convened in an emergency meeting. The atmosphere was tense as they reviewed the data and discussed their response. The recent surprise attacks had shaken their confidence and exposed vulnerabilities in their security. "We underestimated them," said General Zarn, a grizzled veteran who had been tasked with overseeing the operations on Earth. "They've managed to hit us where it hurts, and we didn't anticipate their capability to strike so effectively." Counselor Lyra, known for her strategic mind, frowned as she analyzed the situation. "Our forces are stretched thin, and their resistance is becoming more organized. We need to reassess our strategy and increase our defensive measures immediately." The Council debated their options. Some suggested increasing military presence on Earth, while others proposed a more aggressive approach to crush the resistance entirely. The debate grew heated, with each leader offering their own perspective on how to handle the escalating crisis. Meanwhile, on Earth, the resistance team was still riding the wave of their recent success. They had managed to disrupt the galactic supply chain and hit a significant blow to their operations. However, they knew that the Galactic Council would respond with increased force and resources. Dr. Ava Reyes and her team gathered to review the latest intelligence. "The Council is clearly rattled," she said. "Their response will be more intense, and we need to be prepared for their next move." Marcus Chen, still buzzing from the adrenaline of the last mission, added, "We need to stay ahead of them. We've been lucky so far, but luck alone won't be enough. We have to anticipate their moves and counter them before they get a chance to strike back." Lieutenant Sarah Adams agreed, her face serious. "Our recent victories have shown that we can cause real damage, but we need to be smart about how we use our resources. We can't afford to be reckless." The resistance continued to operate with the utmost secrecy. They strengthened their positions, increased their surveillance, and prepared for the inevitable retaliation. The Galactic Council's response was a matter of when, not if, and they wanted to be ready for every possible scenario. Back at the Galactic Council headquarters, the sense of panic was palpable. The Council had ordered an immediate increase in security measures across their forces and began mobilizing additional troops and resources to Earth. They were determined to show that they would not be intimidated by humanity's resistance. As the Galactic Empire prepared for a decisive confrontation, the resistance knew that they were on the brink of a critical moment. They had proven that they could strike fear into their oppressors, but the real test was yet to come. The Galactic Council's response would be swift and fierce, and the Resistance needed to be prepared for the challenges ahead. In the shadows of the Empire's headquarters and the hidden depths of Earth's Resistance base, the stage was set for the next chapter in this epic struggle. Both sides were bracing for the clash that would determine the future of their conflict. The Galactic Council's panic only served to heighten the stakes, and the coming battle promised to be fierce and decisive. The Galactic Council's response to the recent attacks was swift and severe. With increased security and a surge in military presence, the once hidden resistance fighters on Earth now faced an intensifying struggle. The Galactic Empire was determined to crush the burgeoning rebellion, but the resistance was far from defeated. Dr. Ava Reyes and her team were deep in their hidden bunker, surrounded by maps, communication devices, and plans. They had received intelligence about a major galactic offensive aimed at dismantling their network. The urgency in the air was palpable as they prepared for the inevitable clash. "We've got to stay ahead of them," Dr. Reyes said, her voice steady despite the mounting pressure. "The Galactic Council is pulling out all the stops. Our next move has to be precise and impactful." Marcus Chen, focused on a large holographic display, pointed to a cluster of locations. "We've identified several key supply depots and communication hubs that are crucial to their operations. If we can strike these points, we might be able to slow their advance and buy ourselves some time." Lieutenant Sarah Adams, always the strategist, nodded. "We need to coordinate multiple attacks simultaneously. If we hit them hard and fast, we can create enough chaos to disrupt their plans. It's risky, but it's our best shot." The team worked tirelessly, planning their attacks with meticulous detail. They knew that any mistake could be disastrous, especially with the increased galactic presence. They prepared for simultaneous strikes on several targets, each carefully selected to maximize impact. As the operation commenced, the resistance fighters moved with a sense of urgency and determination. They knew the galactic forces would be on high alert, but they were ready to face whatever came their way. The stealth pods and advanced technology they had developed were put to good use as they infiltrated the enemy's defenses. The first strike targeted a critical supply depot. The resistance team used high-powered explosives to breach the facility's defenses, causing massive explosions that sent shockwaves through the galactic supply chain. The resulting chaos disrupted the flow of resources and left the galactic forces scrambling to respond. Simultaneously, another team attacked a communication hub. They disabled the enemy's ability to coordinate and relay orders, causing confusion and disarray among the galactic troops. The disruption in their communication systems was a major setback for the Council, who had relied heavily on their advanced technology. Back at their bunker, Dr. Reyes and her team monitored the results of their attacks. The Resistance's efforts were paying off, creating the intended chaos and confusion. The galactic forces were struggling to regain control, and the momentum was shifting in favor of the Resistance. Despite the successes, the Galactic Council was not idle. They continued to ramp up their operations, sending additional troops and resources to Earth. The Council's leaders were determined to quash the rebellion and reassert their dominance. In the midst of the escalating conflict, the Resistance's leadership remained focused and resolute. They knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they were driven by a sense of purpose and unity. Their recent victories had shown that their fight was not in vain and that their efforts were making a difference. The Resistance fighters on the ground were inspired by their leader's determination. They faced the galactic forces with renewed courage and commitment, knowing that every battle won was a step closer to their ultimate goal of freedom. As the Galactic Empire continued its efforts to crush the uprising, the Resistance remained vigilant and prepared. They had proven that they could rise to the occasion and challenge the might of the Galactic Council. The struggle was far from over, but the spirit of resistance was stronger than ever. The Galactic Council's increasing desperation was a testament to the effectiveness of the Resistance's efforts. The balance of power was shifting, and the fight for Earth's freedom was gaining momentum. Both sides braced for the next phase of the conflict, knowing that the outcome would determine the future of their struggle. The Galactic Council's headquarters was in a state of crisis. The recent attacks on their supply lines and communication hubs had caused severe disruptions. The once unshakable empire was now grappling with a growing sense of vulnerability. The Council's leaders were faced with the daunting task of addressing the mounting problems and regaining control over their crumbling operations. Chancellor Xor, his face etched with worry, convened an emergency meeting with the top military and strategic advisors. The atmosphere in the room was tense, the usual air of superiority replaced by palpable concern. The latest reports indicated that the resistance was becoming increasingly effective, and the Council's once secure grip on Earth was slipping. "Explain to me how we've reached this point," Xor demanded, his voice a mix of frustration and disbelief. "Our forces were supposed to suppress these rebels swiftly. Instead, they're causing more damage than we anticipated." General Zarn, who had been tasked with overseeing the military operations on Earth, stood at attention. "Chancellor, our initial assessments were flawed. We underestimated the resilience and ingenuity of the resistance. Their recent attacks on our supply depots and communication hubs have significantly hampered our operations." Counselor Lyra, known for her tactical brilliance, reviewed the data on her screen. "The resistance has demonstrated remarkable coordination and resourcefulness. They've managed to strike at critical points, causing chaos within our ranks. We need to rethink our strategy and respond more effectively." The counselors debated their options. Some proposed escalating the military response, deploying additional forces to Earth, and using more aggressive tactics to suppress the rebellion. Others suggested a more strategic approach, focusing on intelligence and counterinsurgency to root out the resistance's leadership. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Ava Reyes and her team were closely monitoring the fallout from their recent operations. They had succeeded in causing significant disruptions, but they knew that the Galactic Council would not remain passive for long. The Empire's response was already underway, and the resistance needed to be prepared for the next wave of conflict. "The Council is clearly feeling the pressure," Dr. Reyes said, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. "We've struck a nerve, and now they're scrambling to regain control. We need to use this opportunity to press our advantage and continue disrupting their operations." Lieutenant Sarah Adams, analyzing the data, agreed. "We've created chaos, but we need to be strategic about how we use it. If the galactic forces start to consolidate their efforts, we could be facing a stronger, more coordinated response. Our next moves should be focused on exploiting their weaknesses." Marcus Chen, always the engineer, had been working on new tools and technologies to aid the resistance. "We've developed some new equipment that could give us an edge. It's designed to counteract their advanced defenses and give us better access to their systems." With renewed determination, the resistance prepared for their next phase of operations. They continued to strike at key galactic assets, using the Council's confusion to their advantage. Each attack was carefully planned and executed, aimed at further weakening the Empire's hold on Earth. As the Galactic Council struggled to regain control, the Empire's leadership was increasingly frustrated. Their efforts to suppress the resistance were being thwarted, and their once unassailable position was becoming increasingly precarious. The Resistance's successes had forced the Council to confront the reality that their control over Earth was in serious jeopardy. Chancellor Xor and his advisors knew that decisive action was needed. They redoubled their efforts to develop a strategy that would not only crush the resistance, but also reassert their dominance. The stakes were higher than ever, and the Council's response would be critical in determining the outcome of the conflict. The situation was dire, but the Galactic Council remained determined to restore order and quell the rebellion. The resistance had proven that they were a formidable adversary, and the fight for Earth's freedom had reached a critical juncture. As both sides prepared for the next phase of the struggle, the outcome remained uncertain, and the battle for the future of Earth continued to unfold. The atmosphere was tense as the Galactic Council prepared for the decisive confrontation. The resistance had proven to be a formidable force, and the Council knew that the next battle would determine the fate of their campaign on Earth. The Galactic Empire's leaders were on high alert, their strategies focused on crushing the rebellion once and for all. Dr. Ava Reyes and her team were equally determined. They had been preparing for this moment, knowing that the Galactic Council's next move would be their most aggressive yet. The resistance fighters were ready for the final showdown that would decide the future of their struggle. In the command center, Dr. Reyes reviewed the latest intelligence. The Galactic Council is consolidating their forces for a major offensive. We've identified their primary targets, and we need to act quickly to counter their plans. Lieutenant Sarah Adams pointed to a map displaying the locations of key galactic bases. We have to strike at their strongholds and disrupt their operations. If we can hit their command centers and supply lines simultaneously, we might have a chance to turn the tide. Marcus Chen and the engineering team prepared advanced weaponry and strategic tools. They knew that their technology had to be flawless to give the Resistance an edge in the impending battle. The tension was palpable as they finalized their plans and equipped their troops. As the galactic forces assembled for their offensive, the Resistance team moved into position. They knew that the Galactic Council would spare no effort in this final assault, and their own strategy needed to be precise and effective. The galactic attack began with a massive bombardment on Resistance positions. The skies lit up with explosions as the Empire's advanced weaponry unleashed its fury. The Resistance fighters braced for impact, their training and resolve tested to the limit. Dr. Reyes and her team coordinated their response, launching counterattacks to disrupt the galactic forces. The Resistance used guerrilla tactics, hitting key targets and retreating before the Empire could fully mobilize their forces. Their strategy was to inflict as much damage as possible while avoiding direct confrontation with the larger galactic units. Despite the Empire's overwhelming firepower, the Resistance fighters held their ground. They fought with determination and skill, their knowledge of the terrain and their advanced technology giving them a crucial advantage. The Galactic Council's forces faced unexpected resistance, their plans thrown into disarray. In the heat of the battle, the Galactic Council's leaders watched with increasing frustration. The Resistance's ability to withstand their assault and continue fighting back was proving to be more than they had anticipated. The Council's command centers were under attack, and their supply lines were becoming increasingly compromised. As the battle raged on, Dr. Reyes and her team executed a bold move. They launched a coordinated assault on the Galactic Council's command center, aiming to disrupt their ability to coordinate and control their forces. The attack was swift and decisive, targeting key infrastructure and communication systems. The Galactic Council's command center was thrown into chaos. The Resistance's assault caused severe disruptions, and the Council's leaders struggled to regain control. The once formidable Empire's operation was unraveling before their eyes. The final showdown reached its climax as the galactic forces, disoriented and overwhelmed, began to retreat. The Resistance had managed to inflict significant damage and turn the tide of the battle. The Galactic Council's attempt to crush the rebellion had failed, and their hold on Earth was weakening. Dr. Reyes and her team, exhausted but victorious, gathered to assess the outcome. The Resistance had achieved a major victory, and their determination had proven stronger than the Empire's might. The Galactic Council's plans had been thwarted, and their control over Earth was now in question. The battle was a turning point in the struggle for freedom. The Resistance had shown that they could stand up against the Galactic Empire and emerge victorious. As the dust settled and the final echoes of the battle faded, the future of Earth and its fight for liberation remained uncertain, but hope and resilience had prevailed. The dust from the final showdown had barely settled when the reality of the new era began to dawn on both the Galactic Council and the Resistance fighters. The Galactic Empire's once imposing control over Earth had been shattered, and the Resistance's victory marked the beginning of a new chapter in human history. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth's cities and landscapes bore the scars of war, but a sense of hope and renewal was palpable. Dr. Ava Reyes and her team, along with other leaders of the Resistance, gathered to discuss the future and how to rebuild from the devastation. Dr. Reyes addressed her team, her voice filled with a mix of exhaustion and triumph. "We've fought hard and won a decisive victory. Now, we face the challenge of rebuilding our world and ensuring that the Galactic Council's tyranny never returns." Marcus Chen, who had been instrumental in the technological aspects of the Resistance's efforts, nodded in agreement. "We need to start by assessing the damage and restoring essential services. The people have suffered enough, and it's time to bring stability back to Earth." Lieutenant Sarah Adams, the military strategist, focused on the practical aspects of the rebuilding process. "We need to work on strengthening our defenses and making sure that we're prepared for any residual threats from the galactic forces. We can't afford to be complacent." As the Resistance leaders formulated their plans, they began to see the tangible changes in their world. The once scorched landscapes were gradually being restored, and people from all walks of life came together to help rebuild their communities. The spirit of unity and resilience was evident in every corner of the planet. In the Galactic Council's former strongholds, the remnants of their control were being dismantled. The Empire's once powerful fleets were retreating, and the remnants of their forces were being disbanded. The Council's leaders, defeated and discredited, had been forced to abandon their plans for Earth. The transition from conflict to peace was not without its challenges. The Resistance had to navigate the complexities of governance and ensure that the newfound freedom was protected. There were difficult decisions to be made and new systems to be put in place. Dr. Reyes and her team worked tirelessly to establish a new framework for Earth's future. They focused on creating fair and just systems of governance, emphasizing transparency and accountability. Their goal was to build a society that would not only recover from the war, but also thrive in a new era of freedom and cooperation. International cooperation and dialogue became the cornerstone of the New World Order. Former enemies began to work together, learning from the past and striving to create a better future. The lessons learned from the conflict were used to forge stronger alliances and ensure that Earth would stand united against any future threats. The Galactic Council's defeat had a profound impact beyond Earth. Other planets and civilizations that had been under the Empire's control watched with interest as the Resistance's success inspired movements for change across the galaxy. The Empire's grip on the universe was weakening, and the seeds of a new era of peace and cooperation were being sown. As Earth entered this new chapter, the spirit of resistance that had once driven the fight against the Galactic Empire now fueled the quest for a brighter future. The people of Earth were determined to build a world where freedom and justice would prevail, and where the lessons of the past would guide them towards a better tomorrow. Dr. Reyes and her team looked out at the dawn of this new era with a sense of accomplishment and optimism. Their fight for freedom had paved the way for a brighter future, and as they moved forward, they carried with them the hope and determination that had seen them through the darkest times. The story of Earth's struggle against the Galactic Empire had ended, but the story of its rise into a new era was just beginning. The challenges ahead would be significant, but the spirit of unity and resilience that had defined their fight would guide them as they embraced the promise of a new and hopeful future.